get started. Hello, everybody. We are here for our cycle syncing workshop. My name is Jess. I go by Coach Jess Lee, and I have been waiting a long time to host this workshop. And before we get into it, I just want to let you all know a little bit of who I am and how I came to find cycle syncing. This call is for every woman out there, whether you have a uterus or not, whether you have a cycle or not, birth control, non-birth control, it is for you. This is a hot topic, and I want to shed some light in it from personal experience and my research and education on it. So I am a fitness and nutrition coach, primarily focusing on women. And what I have found is that the fitness industry and just society in general is very focused on hustle culture. Sleep when you're dead, nose to the grindstone, work, 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 work. And it didn't feel right for me. And I was coaching women and saying, put your head down, do the work, discipline. And while, yes, discipline is important and this structured masculine approach is important, and there's nothing bad about it, it wasn't quite clicking or working for me or for a lot of the women that I was helping. So the first thing that I did in trying to get to know my body, because I have a hard time listening to my body. And they're like, listen to your body. I'm like, I don't know how to listen to my body. And I said, you know what? I'm going to get off birth control. I want to feel my body for exactly what it is. So that was a choice I made. I got off birth control. I got the Oura ring, which is an FDA approved form of birth control. It is just as effective as the pill when you use it in alignment with natural cycles. This is basal thermometer temperature monitoring. I got off, and my cycle came around, and I felt hungry, cranky, moody, bloated, pissed all the time. And so what we're hearing a lot from women is my hormones are out of balance. My hormones are imbalanced. Or maybe or the new trendy thing to say is my cortisol is high. And I needed to understand that, because when something gets hyped up, I need to understand it at its core. And I also I said, this isn't normal. My body shouldn't just be acting like this. So that's how I came to find cycle syncing, in learning the phases of my cycle. Because when we're in high school, they just teach us, you have a period, here's a tampon, be ashamed about it. And I remember the chart, but I don't remember what any of it was associated with. And so many women are struggling lately. And I want to know why. So before we dive in, I want to remind you all that I do have a mini challenge starting on Monday, June 9th, where I'm calling it the Summer Slim Down Challenge, where we are focusing on taking 10,000 steps a day, drinking 100 ounces of water every day, and hitting our protein goal every day. And those 3 habits over 3 weeks will set you up for such a strong and vibrant and lean summer. So it's a $20 buy-in so that I can mail you a bunch of protein powder samples that I love, that work really well for me and my clients. So that's what that's about. I will put the link in the video description when I send it out, but we start on Monday, June 9th. So let's dive in. Now, there are people here live on the call, and I love lecturing. I love teaching, but what I've come to find is I've done it a lot. And the people who are here live are here for a reason. And so I want to hear, whether you drop it in the chat or unmute, what are you hoping to get out of this call? Because I bet the people watching the recording probably have a similar hope. And if you don't want to say, that's okay. But either of you want to let me know?
I've heard a lot about cycle syncing from other people that I know in the fitness, world. And I mean, I don't care. We're all women. I'm going to just say it. I just came off almost 2 years of a synthetic hormone, progesterone, that was, simply put, awful for me. It was just awful. So I finally got off of it and had, 5 months without a period, was potentially diagnosed as premenopausal, got my period back. This is my 5th month on a regular cycle. But then now, to kind of keep it regular, want to learn how to kind of more eat appropriately, work out appropriately in relation to my cycle.
Yes. Well, I'm so glad to hear that you've come to a regularity with your cycle, and that's something to celebrate. And so much more than just when the cycle arrives, right? When we menstruate, but all the other parts of it. There are superpowers in every part that we can capitalize on. And what I hope you get from this, Roseanne, is really having a conversation with your body, creating this harmony with your body in that conversation rather than it being like an argument where somebody's gonna come out the other side winning, and it's not usually not our body. So thank you for sharing. Amy, how about you?
I'm just here just to gather information and see how what I hear helps me. And I like to just gather information and see what I can connect to. And yeah, I I love learning.
Me too. And what I will say, and I'll repeat it, is don't feel like you have to incorporate everything I'm saying and do it perfectly. I want to preface this by saying I am learning this lifestyle. I just started learning this, like really pouring into it probably 5 to 6 months ago. So I've only had 5 or 6 rounds of understanding this flow from my personal experience. So I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not a hormone specialist, but I work with women and I love to learn. And I am pretty qualified. So, um, so for let's jump into, we are talking about our body being in its natural hormonal cycle, regardless of if it's being disrupted by things or whatever. So if you are taking a hormonal birth control, cycle syncing will not work. It does not apply. But this could encourage you to get off of your hormonal birth control. And I'll give you the kind of the keys and the steps and resources on how to do that if that's something you do choose to want to do, which I encourage. If you do not have a uterus or you are postmenopausal or even a little peri, what you can do is align yourself with the lunar cycle. It's a 28-day cycle, just like ours. And what it does is it gives your body a rhythm. Even when the hormones that kind of disappeared stop that rhythm, you can still pour into a rhythm that your body can trust. And it's a really beautiful thing to align ourselves with the moon, as it is the yin, the feminine of us. And if it feels a little woo woo to you, that's okay. But the rhythm will feel really good to you. And so we're just choosing to align it with something that's on the same cycle with us and historically and spiritually is aligned with us. So, real quickly, for those watching the recording, if you are postmenopausal or don't have a cycle of any kind, the menstrual cycle is going to be the new moon, and then waxing is going to be follicular right after your bleed ends. Full moon is ovulation, and then waning moon is luteal phase. And the two resources that I have used so well, and I am so grateful for them every day. The first one is going to be In the Flow by Alisa Vitti. She is the woman who coined cycle syncing. You know how it's everywhere, it's all over the world now. She coined it, came from her. This book will give you everything you need, from the food, the exercise, a lot of what we go over. I haven't read it, but I pull from it and listen to a lot of her podcasts. And then the app I'm going to recommend to you all is called Stardust. While natural cycles will tell you kind of where you're at, what Stardust will do is when you're in that cycle, it'll tell you nutrition, exercise, sex, creativity, social life, um, seed cycling, and you'll start to learn the pattern associated with each cycle. And it has funny little tidbits about it, like, okay, this one's a little crass, you're going to be really horny, but use lube because your menstrual blood is not lubricant for you. Okay, we get into it. Okay, and what I mentioned earlier of in high school, they said there's kind of the shame around it. Like when we get a tampon, we kind of hide it in our pocket. Okay, now when I'm walking to the bathroom, I wave my tampon around. I'm like, I got my cycle, I am woman. Heck yes. So hopefully we can take some of that away and take away some of the shame around it. And I'll tell you how I celebrate that too. So we are talking about coming home to our body, living in alignment with our cycle. So what is making our cycle kind of go out of whack? All right. So there are endocrine disruptors like these chemicals all over the place in our lotions, in our laundry detergent, in our candles is kind of the hot one that everyone's been hearing about, of like, don't use even soy candles. So there's a lot of endocrine disruptors out there. I do have an Amazon like storefront page of all the products I use that are non-endocrine disrupting, and making that switch just felt better for me. Like the Honest brand of lotion, the Molly Suds laundry detergent just felt better. And here's the thing, our parents didn't bother with any of that stuff and they didn't notice, but there are a lot more endocrine disrupting things out there now, and we're just more aware now, and I'm grateful for it. I don't need the placebo effect or the ignorance is bliss around it all. Next thing is going to be stress from exercise, stress from life, stress from too much omega-6 in our body. All kinds of stress in our body is really boosting our cortisol up. Next thing is going to be just our glucose being all over the place. Women are it's so important for us to keep our blood sugar and keep our glucose under control, because it is going to disrupt how our body produces and metabolizes hormones. So creates them and clears them. And so keeping our blood sugar stable is really important. But all these things can happen to men too. So why women? It's because our hormones are changing every single day. Men have the same hormones every day, all month long. And so we can be really affected and disrupted when these things are coming in and thrashing our hormones. So I'm going to go into each phase and talk about the nutrition, the exercise, creativity, kind of fun tidbits about each. And I'll just go one at a time rather than jumping around. Again, this is my first time doing a formal call on these, so it might get a little messy. We might go all over the place, and that's okay. Take notes and use the resources I send you. And if you have questions, just let me know.
Okay? What's the name of that book again, Jess?
Oh, it's called In the Flow. Sorry, that was backwards. In the Flow. Alisa Vitti. Yeah, and even checking out any podcast she has too. So, I'm just gonna touch really quickly on the we're just going to kind of go into each one and just let you know that, again, you have superpowers in each phase that are associated with the hormones. And so essentially what we're trying to do is we're trying to encourage the hormone wave, but also encourage the clearance of those hormones as each wave changes. And we can do that with our nutrition, with our movement patterns. And so we're just going to get right into it. We're going to talk about the follicular phase. So the follicular phase is the day after our bleed ends. So it's the first day after we're bleeding. During our bleed, our hormones are bottomed out, like completely bottomed out. So the follicular phase is this moment of hope. It's this glimmer as things start to rise. In the follicular phase, our metabolism is slower, which means we don't need as much food to feel good. And the only thing we need to keep an eye on is that we still keep our blood sugar stable during this, because you could be like, oops, I forgot to eat breakfast and I feel fine. But that low blood sugar, whether or not you're experiencing it, is going to really harm your body's ability to produce that rise in estrogen that it needs. Okay. Another thing to think about in this state is that our gut health is really important for metabolizing hormones and making sure that they get out of there. So this is a really good time as your hormones are rising to encourage your gut health. So lots of probiotics during this phase. I do lots of kimchi, lots of sauerkraut, lots of I do non-dairy Greek yogurt with probiotics in it during the follicular phase. The follicular phase is usually, I want to say, like days 0 to 10. I think that part I don't have like perfectly memorized. So those are about the first 10 days of your cycle. Okay. So This is where you're also going to want to encourage the rise of estrogen. So those phytoestrogens, right? Your edamame, your pumpkin seeds, because we want to encourage that rise. Because if that rise doesn't happen, we're not going to ovulate. So these women that have ovulations all over the place, that estrogen rise just isn't happening. Because our estrogen is rising, we can hit that cardio hard. We can take the HIIT classes. The first couple of days of it, you're still a little bottomed out, but again, you're starting to bubble over with this happy estrogen. And so you can do that harder, intense exercise. This is also a time where professionally, you're going to do a lot of creative stuff and planning. This is a great time to do your most challenging tasks and biggest projects because you're rising to it. All right. Now, in the book, it is going to lay out for you like what fruits, what veggies, what meats, right? During this phase, I like to have my white fish for my meat. Now, you don't have to do that perfectly. I would say your first takeaway is follicular phase. I'm going to focus on probiotics and pumpkin seeds. Start there and have it be fun. Like, ooh, these are the 10 days where I get to incorporate these. Now, what I like to do is I have a grocery list for each phase and I like grab it. It's like laminated and I like take it with me to the store during that phase. So I don't have to have it memorized or force it, but have those be your 2 takeaways. The follicular phase, again, everything's rising. And once everything hits that peak, that's when we get into the ovulatory phase. The ovulatory phase is when you feel the happiest, the horniest, the most beautiful, the most energized. It's only like 6 days or less. It's like 3 to 5 days, but it's the best. You are supercharged verbally and socially. So if you have a say in it of when you give that presentation, make it when you're ovulating. If you made you'll make plans while you're ovulating for a week from now. I promise you a week from now, you're not going to want to go. And if you have to, that's okay. But just know what your personality is going to be. And I think a big part of why I wanted to do this call was so that you could feel empowered by these things and also feel empowered when it changes too, because like you saw it coming and there are other superpowers when you're not feeling super social. But this is your time to just pour into, again, the HIIT training, the running, the sprints, the jumping on a trampoline, because it's encouraging to your body. This is the phase where your face is the most symmetrical. No lie. You are the most beautiful during this phase because when you're ovulating, your body is wanting to make a baby. This is also why your metabolism is really slow during this phase because your body is not worried about food right now. It is worried about going and finding a mate. And so again, keeping your blood sugar stable and balanced is really important. Just light grains, fruit throughout the day is going to be fine for you. And feel free to interrupt me if I move past a phase without touching on something you wanted to talk about or something that comes up for you. Again, if your cycle isn't regular, tracking it for a month or two, the app like Stardust will pick up on it even if it's not a normal length for you. And also taking your basal temperature, either with a thermometer or the Oura Ring, is also going to help it figure out where you're landing sooner too. It's interesting, the ovulatory phase, your body temperature goes up just a little bit, and that's how it senses it. I sometimes tend to get sick during my ovulatory phase, which is a bummer because I'm the most excitable, but that little peak in my temperature sometimes bottoms my immune system out a little bit. And that's why I started taking colostrum, honestly. So I started taking colostrum from First Form. This is the most standardized brand I've ever found. The other one that I'm sure isn't going to be as standardized as this. This is insane immune support, insane gut lining healing. So not just gut health, but gut lining healing. So if you feel like you have a leaky gut or anything like that, this is the key. But I'm also going to talk about why you potentially might be bloating because of how we're treating ourselves during our cycle. Next, we're going to head into Well, and then so for ovulatory, again, professionally speaking, this is where you're going to start communicating and collaborating and having the project meetings, and doing those more social pieces. When we're in the ovulatory phase for food, yes, your metabolism is going to be slow, but something that we need to focus on is your estrogen is really high. And so we want to eat foods that are going to encourage it to fall. We want to encourage that fall, encourage your liver to break it down. So this is going to be your tomato, leafy greens, red bell pepper, strawberry, raspberry, a lot of red things actually, which probably isn't a coincidence. But just fruits and veggies are really going to encourage that breakdown and support your liver. Heading into the luteal phase. The luteal phase is the longest phase. It's like 10 days to 2 weeks sometimes. It's long. And if these days aren't adding up, I apologize. I'll find the page before we log off. But the luteal phase is where progesterone is the queen. And progesterone is actually a really incredible hormone, and it really rises. Okay. And this is really supportive for our strategic thinking, our contemplation. Progesterone literally does this, you guys. Just like estrogen makes you happy, progesterone helps you contemplate and nurture and tend to things. But if we don't eat up that estrogen well and eat those fruits and veggies, right, and use our body to its fullest during our ovulatory phase, that fall isn't going to happen, which means progesterone isn't going to rise. But what I will say in the luteal phase is this is where we get our PMS. This is where we feel crummy. This is where we feel moody. And what's going to make it worse is overtraining. Because when we are doing that HIIT training and crushing it and sleeping when we're dead concept during our luteal phase, your PMS is going to be way, way worse because that cortisol isn't allowing your progesterone to rise. And so this luteal phase is this battle, and your body's like, I need this progesterone to rise so I can bleed. You're going to have a late cycle or a missed cycle because you're overtraining during a phase where we need to slow down. Now, we're not using this as an excuse to not move our bodies. The fitness industry never said don't rest. It's just some people are chirping it lately. But cycle syncing is starting to get a bad rep because people who honestly need to lose the weight for their health are slowing way too far down and just using it as an excuse to not move. So what kinds of ways can we move during the luteal phase that are going to support that rise in progesterone and not have this terrible PMS? It's going to be Pilates. It's going to be yoga. It's going to be taking steps. It's a bar class. Because the luteal phase is so long, you're still going to have some estrogen and testosterone in the beginning. So the luteal phase kind of has two halves. The first half, you're still feeling pretty good. So you can still do a HIIT class. You could still maybe do like hot, intense yoga. But in that second half, that's where we really need to slow it down for the sake of not rising our cortisol too much. We also, I think this piece is my favorite and most important part. During the luteal phase, our metabolism slows down. So it's really fast in the follicular and ovulatory, and then it slows down in the luteal. You want to know what that means? It means that you're going to be hungrier. You're going to be hungrier. And so it picks up. Sorry, I'm a little backwards. Essentially, you're going to be burning more calories in this phase because your body is creating an organ. Your body is literally creating this lining that it's about to shed, and it's working really hard to do that. And so we're burning, the research is showing, about 290 extra calories during this phase. And so when you are having those junk food cravings and elbow deep in a sleeve of Oreos, when a week ago you were feeling fantastic, we start to question our plan. We start to question the diet that we picked, that we were following. And we start to think that what we were doing wasn't sustainable. But all it is that your body's just burning some more calories, and we have to meet it where it is. So if you can keep your blood sugar balanced while your metabolism is going a little bit more there by eating potatoes, right? Root vegetables, complex carbs like brown rice, rather than filling that gap with processed food and junk food that's going to spike your blood sugar, drop it, you're going to feel crummy. So that's all we need to do. And if you're tracking your macros, amazing, cool. Just give yourself that 300 jump. But otherwise, if you notice yourself feeling hungrier right after ovulation, be like, there it is. There it is. I'm going to add some extra potatoes to my plate. I'm going to do brown rice instead of white rice, and just listen to your body and have that harmonious conversation with it. Okay. So I hope that sheds some light on some things that we may be experiencing, where suddenly we were so on it for 2 weeks and then I fell off track, right? We lost that harmony. And now you know why. High fiber foods are going to be really helpful too. So lots and lots of veggies, but make sure that during the luteal phase, you cook your veggies, because we're already going to deal with PMS bloating. So having those raw veggies are just going to make it worse. Yeah. I would never ever go fasted to a workout ever, but especially during this phase where your blood sugar is already at risk of getting lower and lower because your body's burning more. I would absolutely be certain to eat before a workout, because then you're going to feel so crummy after the workout. Blood sugar is going to be bottomed out. It's really hard to keep up with that. Okay. So then after we survive the luteal phase, and professionally speaking, again, this is where we maybe we had the presentation and now we, finish it, complete it, nurture it, put the bow on top, send the final emails, finish things up, schedule the follow-up meetings, that kind of thing. Now we're in menstruation, we're in our bleed. I'm going to say this, the first day of my bleed, we're like, historically in the media, it's like wrapped up, just isolated, everything's terrible. The first day of mine, I put on my best makeup, my best jewelry, the most beautiful dress I have, and I throw myself a party because my body did it. I am woman, your body did it. You know how many women don't get a cycle, or it's irregular and they don't know when it's coming? So when your cycle arrives, celebrate it, please. And this is a great time where, when that lining is shedding and we're bleeding, both of the hemispheres of our brain are really able to talk to each other. So this is a very intuitive time. This is a time to analyze and evaluate. Maybe it's your finances. I really take this time on the last day of my bleed to look back on the whole month. How did my alignment go? What went well? What felt like an obstacle? Those kinds of things. And you can do it at work too. But because we are bleeding, we are losing a lot of micronutrients. So this is where you're going to eat your red meat. Sea veggies are a great thing. High fat foods, warming foods, soups and stews are really going to encourage that. Yes. And this is the time to just focus on steps, maybe rest more, yin yoga over hot yoga. But also recognize too that your body's naturally burning some more calories here. It's working hard. So you don't have to push yourself too hard in the gym. Your body's naturally working a little harder. Just remember to meet your hunger where it's at with healthy whole food choices, fruits, veggies. And that's the cycle. So again, you don't have to apply perfectionism to this. I just want you to listen to your body because it's telling you what it needs. Okay. So my habits that I do for this is every morning I wake up and I check my Stardust app. Where am I in my cycle? And I just poke into the things to remind myself. And eventually you'll have them memorized, but it's fun to read and remind yourself. The next thing I do is I'm going to eat foods aligned with where I'm at in my cycle, because I make a little grocery list. You can get one in the flow. If you want me to snap you some pictures of like the meal plan or the grocery shopping list from this book, I'll text them to you. I'm going to move my body in alignment with my cycle. And those are the 3 things I do. I check my app and I eat and move in alignment with it. Yeah. Now, here's the thing. If you have a high rocks race during your luteal phase, that's okay. Don't say, oh, I can't sign up for that marathon because I'll be bleeding that week. We can't force everything. Like, I can't like call out from like my 10 client calls I have that day because I'm in my luteal phase. Or I can't be like, no, I can only do that presentation during the 3 days that I'm ovulating. Sorry. But find where your superpower lies. And if you can, again, on the last day of my bleed, not only do I look at the past month, but I look at the month ahead and I'll highlight out where I'm landing. So if I have a choice, I'll make the plan. I'll throw the house party during the ovulation phase, right? If I have a first date, maybe not while I'm ovulating, follicular phase for sure. So have fun with it and know that this is just a lifestyle that you're learning and creating. So keep that in mind. What I will say for those of you who are watching and are on birth control truly is just shutting off ovulation. You're not menstruating, by the way, when you're bleeding. That's a false bleed. And you're just in this flat. You're just taking these, and hey, birth control has it's a tool. And I'm not saying get off of it. There's a lot of benefits to it. But what if every single man walked into the doctor's office and said, I have this issue or this issue or this issue or this issue. And they're like, here's this one thing. It's going to fix it all. But what it's really doing is just flatlining us. Birth control affects everything in you. And I would love for you to get to know your body as it is and not be afraid that your hormones are going to be effed up. You know what? Go get your hormone levels checked. If you're on birth control, there's no point. It is what it is. But go get them checked because when you get your results, it'll tell you and write down what phase you're in when you get it checked because it'll tell you the ranges for each phase. How cool is that? The blood panel will say the normal range for luteal, the normal range for whatever. You can get a tiny like constant monitor too that just says little, I think, blood checks, little pricks that you can check. And same thing with cortisol. Everyone's like, I have high cortisol. Really? Get it checked because it's a big range. I got mine checked because I wasn't going to coach women on lowering their cortisol without really getting it checked.
My doctor refused to check mine. I find that so interesting why doctors basically just literally just say, there's no need to. I mean, I know they're going to be all over the place,
yeah.
But for my own knowledge, I wanted to know where I was. I've gone through a pretty rough past 2 years, and I know my cortisol was through the roof and beyond, infinity and beyond.
it's it's an expensive test for them to run, and yep. There's not a medication that they can prescribe you, I don't think, if you have it. And the lifestyle modifications just don't pay the bills over there in that world.
Yeah.
So if you are on birth control and you want to get off birth control, the book guides you through 2 to 3 months before getting off of what to do and what micronutrients to take to make sure your body is getting the nutrients it needs, and then how to start cycle syncing when you first get off. Okay. So we are going to run out of time here in a couple of minutes. So major takeaways, not focusing on perfection, eating and moving in alignment with your cycle, not using it as an excuse to slow down too much that it affects your fitness goals, but just knowing it can encourage it and keep you going on the long term. As far as supplementation, your sleep is critical. If you're not taking a magnesium, the one from First Form is 5 different magnesium blends. It's a 90-day supply. It's changed everything for my sleep, and I'm so grateful for it. And then you can get the seed cycling. These are called Funkit because they're like seed cycling is a whole thing where the seeds will again encourage the rise or clearance of those hormones. And then I did mention colostrum. If you are feeling like your gut lining needs healing or your immune system is trash, here's your tool. I'll put them in the description with the recording. So this is going to cut us off in 3 minutes. And so I want to make sure that my 2 live ladies don't have anything to ask or add, and then I'll close us out.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
What phases match the moon cycle? Like
yes. So menstrual phase is new moon.
New moon, okay.
Right, because that's your reflection time. It's new, we're reflecting. And then we're gonna have follicular is waxing. Okay. Ovulation is full moon, right? All the energy. And then luteal is waning.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to remind you that you can have a harmonious, beautiful chorus of a conversation with your body. Your body is the best messenger. And it's okay if you don't know how to listen to her. But I want to encourage you, if you're feeling some resistance around slowing down or feeling some resistance around listening, it's okay. We've been in our masculine for a long time, and the world has told us to be hard and structured and take care of shit. But you can slow down and still be productive. You can be in flow and fluid and flexible. You can nurture. That's still taking care of things. And if you want to have a more heart to heart conversation about stepping into your feminine, I'm your girl. I'm still learning along the way. But this is a really beautiful place to start. And it's a lot of fun. Okay. So remember that the Just Lead Fitness Community Hub is really where a lot of live coaching group calls are going to start happening, just a lot of support. And if you're feeling like you're lacking confidence, supporting and teaching other people can really help you with that too. Just sharing what you learn or asking questions. So I hope that you'll do that. Okay. Thank you for being live with me, ladies. Thank you. Thanks for everyone watching, recording. I've got your back. I care about you. Check the description on the recording for any tools that I mentioned today. Bye.
Bye.